Welcome to Rich in Blockchain. Okay, today's 12th of September 2022, and we are just going to have a look at BTC and the rest of the altcoins that I have on my list. Just looking at BTC at the moment, we have clearly seen that starting to break up and retest this downwards trend line, or medium-term downwards trend line anyway. So having a look at this, I do believe that it is still short-term bullish, but at the same time, as I said before, since we're starting to touch this downwards trend line until we actually get a bit of a breakout, which is what I was drawing here. So scenario 2 here, can pretty much get rid of that. So right now, if we want a continuation of BTC, what we want to see is BTC break up with a bit more volume, come back down to retest this before we move on up to the next downwards trend line, which will also coincide and line up with that $24,000 range. But I still do believe, looking at the 4-hourly here, that we are oversold. Sorry, not oversold, overbought. So right now we are above that 70 RSI generally, which means that it's a good time to start selling, especially in the larger time frames. So looking at the daily, had a bit of a sharp rise. Yeah, I mean, nothing much to say about that, but just waiting for it to see if it's going to come back down and retest, have a bit more volume to break up, come back down to retest this downwards trend line, which would then become a support zone. So having a look at this, I can now get rid of these lines here of that falling wedge, because we don't really need that anymore. But if it does come back down to retest, we'll be retesting and ranging within this 21,000 and 21,700 zone. But as I said, looking at the 4-hourly, we are very, very oversold, and generally what goes up, as they say, must come down. So right now it's looking like we are going to come up and test this $24,000 range, but I don't believe that we will actually be testing it, but that's just my opinion. And also having a look at the BTC CME futures, we can also see that the last close for BTC on Friday was at about 21,345, and today it opened at 21,500. So generally what happens with a CME gap is that the price generally comes back down to fill this gap area here. So this zone here is where the CME gap is looking to come back down and fill, in my opinion. So until we actually fill this gap here, I don't think that there'll be a massive continuation. But the gap doesn't always have to be filled. And looking here as well, we can see that in the past, we have started forming a nice double bottom here, going back from June. So, I mean, if we look at the CME gap, it's looking a lot more bullish. Looking at Ethereum from yesterday, so what we can clearly see is that, I'm just going to just light this a bit more better. So we can clearly see that it has broken out of this downwards trend line. So two things that may happen with ETH. One, we have broken up, so we have broken out of here, coming back down now to retest this zone here. So what may happen is we may bounce off this line and pretty much come back up to retest this 1800 area. And if we do that, that'll be a great sign of bullishness there, because if we can break this area and continue on up to the next resistance zone, which would be about that 2,370. If we go back, we also see here that this was also a support zone that needs now resistance, would be also great as well. So just looking at that, but it's very dependent on what happens in the next couple of days anyway, with the ETH merge happening. So we can also see here as well. So let me get rid of this. Okay. So what we can see as well, that we have also broken out of this rising wedge, and generally what I said yesterday with the rising wedge is that once we do break out, same thing as what happened yesterday, this breakout zone is still pointing downwards. So in my opinion, if we are staying with pretty much buy the room, sell the news, we're still going to be looking to come back down to retest the support zone. But that's just my opinion. I mean, see what happens in the next couple of days with cryptos. it's one of those things where it's like you start getting used to people just buying the rumor, selling the news. So if there's nothing else interesting for ETH, then that's what we're generally going to see. So looking at BNB, holding up pretty well. I definitely thought it was going to come back down and retest, but still early days anyway. 4 hours looking bullish. Hourly as well. It's pretty much right above the 50 MA on the hourly. Looking at the daily, above the 50, which is nice. So it's looking more bullish than the rest at the moment. So although we had a bit of a fake out to the downside here, very much did recover and right above the support. So looking at this bit here, still would say that it's a nice ascending triangle happening here for BNB. So I'm just going to leave this from here on out. Having a look at ADA, nothing much at the moment, still range bound in this area. So we're just going to keep this here until we start breaking out. So this is a range bound area, which is a perfect supply zone. So until we actually start seeing some price action and movement, the next resistance area would be about the 80-cent zone. So which is that point there, because we can also see that it's going to be a strong resistance area. Having a look at XRP, still range bound. So I'm going to be doing something similar as well, drawing just this range bound zone for XRP until it starts breaking past this point here. So once we break past this resistance zone, this is a resistance trend line, start maybe trading a bit sideways. The next resistance zone would be the, let me draw it up anyway, would be this zone here. So that 51-cent zone will be the next resistance zone. But yeah, that's all to do with how the BTC and the rest of crypto look. Looking at Solana, very much the same as what's happening with ADA as well. And you could also say XRP. Everything is just pretty much range bound at the moment. So looking at that, it's a nice range to buy. Was also looking in the past, we can see that it was range bound for a while as well. So I do believe we are close to bottoming, or if we have already bottomed. Looking at Matic, still holding, looking really, really strong. And as I said, very, very similar to the BNB chart as well, in it forming an ascending triangle. So it's something to keep an eye on. Chainlink, very, very similar to XRP, ADA, Solana, Matic, going to be a range bound for a while. So until we break this zone here, so until we actually break the $10 range, wouldn't be so bullish on it yet. Same with VeChain, just trading on sideways as well. So until we break, I would say the 34-cent range, or not 34, 3.4-cent range, nothing bullish yet. Looking at HAPI, as I said from yesterday, we have started breaking above this resistance zone, and now we will be trading in between this range for a while. So tops of about $9 and the lows of about 8.29. So it's good accumulation range there, in my opinion. Yeah, nothing really happening for HAPI at the moment trading wise than looking at the charts, but we can definitely tell that if you are reading the summary, they do have a lot going on and they'll continually expand and get better. Looking at Luna Classic or Terra Classic from yesterday, we are starting to see a nice price action happening here. So as I said from yesterday, we started forming this head and shoulders movement. We have technically broken the neck. And as I said, the possible target zone would be at this bottom of the range if we do reach there. Right now, we are retracing to that 0.618 area. So that's also classified as a golden Fibonacci area, so one of the golden zones. But if that does break, you can expect Terra Classic to come back down and retest this area here, which is about the 0.00025 area. And as you can see from down here, this is a strong support by looking at the VPVR. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance, still holding on strong. So as I said, it's pretty much rebounding at the moment. It's breaking past the 50 moving average. What happens on here is all dependent on BTC, of course. If people are starting to get more confident, as well as Bitcoin being the store of value, which has been proven in the past until recently, where there has been a lot of market uncertainty, and more people are going to flow into BTC, which means that a lot of the alts will probably be stagnant while BTC has a run up, and then until we probably reach this resistance zone of about 47% or 48%, we may possibly come back down to retest this 38% zone. And lastly, looking at the DXY. So going on from Friday, as the markets, traditional markets, do not open on the weekend at all, we can clearly see that the DXY have broken down and is still on the target anyway of hitting the bottom of this channel that we have drawn, going back, that we have drawn from this trend line that was forming from the 1st of June. So pretty much, as I said, as the DXY pulls back, it's great for Bitcoin and the alts. But if it does start rebounding in the next day or two, because there's also CPI numbers coming out as well, if it's very, very bearish, then you can expect the CPI to help the DXY push upwards and retest this on here before we go back up. But that's all I have time for today, guys. If you guys have any other cryptos that you guys want me to look at, please let me know. Thanks. Anyway, my name is Rich, and you've been watching Rich in Blockchain. I'll catch you again soon for the next episode. Please remember to like and subscribe. Cheers, and have a good one.